But I try and encapsulate and frame why it is that we are in such a divided time. And it starts with that and personal space, and then builds out from that into the nation state. And now I know that's quite a building out, and we don't have time for it. But we do like our personal space. We are embarrassed, those of us who are liberals, about nationalism, about the fact that we're animals, about we like our space, but I believe them to be truisms, and unfortunately from the conflicts I covered I realised just how nationalistic we can be when under pressure. And the key is not to put us under pressure and to share things out. It's a difficult time. Everybody knows that. It's more divisive than I've ever known it. And so it's very easy to think, as every generation before us has thought, that we're going to hell in a handcart. Well, if that's true, why the hell haven't we got there yet? Because we're not going to hell in a handcart. We are going through this turbulent, difficult time, for which I have conceptual frameworks about why. But the overarching framework is not just the last 20 years, it's the last 400 years. And if you look at it through that prism, we are going like that. And we will probably keep going like that through technology, science, and knowledge. Because if you look at the bigger factors of death in childbirth, diseases being eradicated, extreme poverty levels, they're all going in the right direction. So I think we've got years before we come out of this unstable time, but I do have faith that as a species, we will continue to learn. At a conceptual level, if you want to understand change, you need to know as much about the situation as possible, how we got to where we are, both geographically, politically, the ideas that have driven it. And that will give you a conceptual frame to understand where you're going. And once you have that, you can make better decisions about where things are going to go. On a practical level, you've got to embrace the change. There's an old military saying, no plan survives contact with the enemy. Mike Tyson put it differently. He says, everyone's got a plan till they get punched in the face. So once you've been punched in the face and your plan's gone out the window, do not grasp for it and try and drag it back. It's gone. You've got a new plan now and a new direction, and you must embrace it and go forward with it, because if you keep looking back, you won't get to where you're going. And I think what has happened in this century is a perfect storm has arisen. You've got, first of all, the technology for the first time in human history that people can, everywhere in the world, can see everybody else in the world. And obviously, a lot of people thinking, I want some of that. And you can't blame them, because we would want some of that if we were in a different position. And many of us would move if we were in that position, especially if it was to help our families. I've got a children's book coming out. I had a relatively successful book called Prisoners of Geography. I was extraordinarily gratified that it sold 1 million copies. And we thought, well, if there's 1 million grown-ups can see that and see the value of it, maybe we could do a children's version. And it's a beautiful illustrated children's book. And at the moment, that's where my focus is while I'm percolating another project maybe for next year.